Hi, I'm Armando Sanchez. As most of you know, I'm a futurist. I started to be a futurist when I started college many years ago. And one of the topics that recently came to my attention a couple of years ago was the topic of basic income. And I've been trying to understand it. I've been trying to figure it out and see all its ramifications. It's very complicated for me to understand it, really, its importance. And I've been just dabbling a lot with it. But I had a dream last night, and I think it was greatly influenced by H.G. Wells and Isaac Asimov. Their stories, their books sort of converged on me. And I wanted to share that story with all of you and hear your response and your thoughts about what the idea is that helped me to understand basic income a little bit more. And so the dream went like this. First of all, there was a time machine that appeared in my dream. Very beautiful, very colorful, everything else. I sat in it and I pushed a button, and immediately it took me over to a place that was very serene, sort of in mountainsides, very spring weather, beautiful brook. There were fish everywhere. Trees were just swaying nicely in the air. And it was a very pleasant sight. Some flowers starting to grow here and there. And I got off the time machine. I went over to the brook. Water was nice and cool. I had some water and I could see the fish floating around. And it was just a very pleasant moment. I walked around a little bit. I didn't see anyone. So I decided to get back on the time machine, press the button again, and it transported me. And I ended up somewhere in a old sort of gray, empty warehouse. It was sort of cool. It was sort of cold in there. And I got off. I walked out of the what seemed to be a warehouse, and I walked into the street. It wasn't too crowded, and a man immediately came up and gave me a piece of paper, and he walked off, and he says, "Good luck to me." So I started to read the paper, and it says, "Your lucky day. If you need a job so that you can buy a better house, so that you can eat better, so that you can live better, there's a new factory in town. Go register today. Start working tomorrow." So as I looked around, I sort of thought, well, it seems to me like I'm in early England, 1900s or something like that. And a man came up and says, "Oh my God, are you going over to get a job with me?" And I said, "Well, what for?" And he says, "Well, we're going to start working. We're going to get a check. We'll be able to eat now, and we won't have to farm anymore, and it'll be a better life. And, the line is not long. So let's run over there and get a job." And I said, "Sure, sure, sure. I'll join you right now." And I thought about it, and I thought, okay, well, that's good that people have jobs and there's opportunity. So then I went back into the warehouse, and I went back into the time machine, pushed the button again. But the third time, I ended up in a huge city, sort of very, very, very crowded. And people were walking everywhere, and people seemed to be sort of have a lost look in their faces. And as I looked around more carefully, I could see people that they were many homeless people everywhere. And people were still ignoring each other, and some people were going through the trash cans. And then as I started to look and notice people around me, I realized that they were not all humans. There were also robots walking amongst them. And I looked around and I thought, nobody seems to be noticing anything. It's just people walking back and forth. And now I started to feel hungry. I guess I didn't eat my regular quesadilla before I went to sleep. So I started to feel hungry in my dream, and I went up to someone and I said, "Where can I get something to eat?" And he says, "Well, you have to pay for it." And I said, "Well, I don't have any money. How do I get money here?" He says, "Go get a job. I don't know why you're bothering me with this." And I said, "Okay, well, go get a job." So I figured I'll go to one of the local merchants there and says, "Hey, I'll work for a couple hours and get something to eat." But as I looked into the places, into the businesses, I realized that they were all full of robots, and that things were being made through different kinds of robots and technological machinery, and you order to a machine. And I thought, well, how can I work here? How can I work if everything's being done by robots or by machines? Or, I can't even talk to a manager and says, "Hey, I want to work for you." And then I realized all these people were scrambling looking for work because there isn't any. And now I realized, wow, it's really crowded all around me. How can these people be competing against each other, both robots and humans, when the businesses are already being run by machines? And little by little, it started to become more of a nightmare rather than a dream. And I started to try to talk to people. Nobody would stop to talk, and nobody would tell me, how do I get money so that I can support myself, or get something to eat? And by then I thought, I better get back to the machine and go somewhere else. This isn't working out. And as I went back, I realized I couldn't find the machine anymore. I was stranded in this new place. There was a lot of people. And just like, again, the frustration continued to build as I couldn't get anybody to explain to me, how do I survive here when there are no jobs, when there can't possibly be any, because robots are making more and more positions gone for humans. So I never got an answer. I started to feel the stress and the struggle. And that's when sort of the nightmare started to sort of overpower me and woke me up. So that's my dream. What do you think about the idea? And how does this merge with the concept that we need to look into the future and think about basic income? Thank you.